Hey Life Fixers, hope you're having an awesome day. Are you ready to better understand yourself, your partner, and your marriage? Oh, today we've got an amazing couple. I know you are going to love them. If you like this episode, or as soon as you notice something in it that you like this episode, because I know you will, then don't forget to hit the share button and share it with someone else who will appreciate this episode and learn something from it so you could help us reach our goal of hitting 1 million downloads per episode by the end of 2025. Now, today's couple are the owners of Pip Lola's, a small handmade soap company based in Pittsburgh. And they are this incredible couple. Thank you so much, Samantha and Bruce, for being here. I'm excited to be speaking with you. You want to start by telling us how you guys met?
So we're both actors, and we actually met at callbacks for Macbeth in Tacoma, Washington. Well, Lakewood, Washington. We kept getting paired off.
Yeah, for a good 2-3 hours or so.
Yeah, it was like 2-3 hours. And I was actually married.
I was dating somebody else.
And he was dating somebody else. And our origin story is like...
It's a whole mess.
How
much time do you have?
Do you have a minute? Because it's going to take a minute.
Let's do this. I need to hear it.
No, he has to do it because he actually explains it better than I do.
So it goes back. So Samantha was married. I was not, but I was dating somebody else. Whole story, to give a little backstory prior. My ex, I had actually put the doula training because that's what she wanted to do.
Do you know what a doula is?
Yes.
So
you want to explain in case for the listeners who don't.
Yeah. So it's actually a certified birth coach. I actually was one. And so like I wanted one when I was having Perrin, who's Pip. And so I'd hired this woman.
Yeah.
So there's that.
There's that. So
this is before you met him.
Yes,
this was long
ago. My ex was the doula. I had heard all about this customer she was going to be having, who had children before, had been a doula herself. And then unfortunately, just prior to it, my girlfriend bailed on her, which was not a
bailed.
Gone.
Because the worst thing when someone's having birth trauma is for somebody not to show up.
Right. And then that was all I'd heard. Later, we're at this callback, and we're talking, and I'm like, it's like my girlfriend would not like you, just because people are funny, whatever. She's lovely, absolutely. But that had nothing to do with that. So it goes on. We're done. We leave. We don't see each other for a long period of time because that's the one time I've ever met her.
Right.
During that time period, I am then no longer dating said person, and I get a friend request on Facebook, which turns out to be
me.
Samantha, who had found me through my ex-girlfriend, who was a doula that had bailed on her.
Right.
So thus there was that.
Yeah, so I friend requested him because if you've ever heard of the Seattle freeze, the Seattle freeze is a very real thing, and it's really, really hard to make friends in the Pacific Northwest. I can't even really explain why, but it is. And so,
do you live there at that time?
Yeah, we were in Washington State.
Okay.
We're in Pittsburgh now, but we were in Washington State. And so, it's a real thing. And I wasn't from there. I had moved there in 2006. And so I just still really didn't have a whole lot of friends. And because we had gotten along so well, and I saw him through the ex's Facebook thing. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I'm just looking for friends. And he was like, listen, I'm dating this girl. I'm like, look, dude, yeah. That's not what this is.
But
I was just looking, I was like friend desperate, to be perfectly honest. I was just desperate for friends, and we had gotten along. So,
and what worked out really well with that is over the course of the next number of months, we became really, really good friends online. Still haven't seen each other.
Yeah.
But I was an insomniac. I was up all the time. She was working for somebody in the census who her work at midnight to 1 o'clock.
3 o'clock in the morning and getting text messages from live.
And so we were freaking online just chatting. And so, spending a lot of time just talking, which is great.
And he had surgery.
I did have surgery, which was funny.
Which turned out to be performed by my best friend whose birthday's today, her ex-husband. So it's all of these weird things. I know. There's a lot of weird overlaps.
So we became really good friends that way until eventually we decided that we should probably months later actually meet up in person again because, people do that sort of thing. Or at least they did prior to the pandemic.
They did.
And so we got together January 1st of 2010. Because it was
it on my birthday?
It was on your birthday.
But we went for the walk?
Yeah, we went for a walk.
Oh, I forgot that.
That's good. I remembered. It's fine.
As long as somebody knows.
And so we went for a walk. And in that time period, we're out walking the short humans, one of which is the one who was born not to my ex-girlfriend doing. Anyway, and so we went for the walk. And during that time period, she heard that she's like, well, I heard you sing. I'm terrified of doing this thing.
Oh, because I hate being scared of things.
Yeah.
And so I decided, in order to get over my fear of singing, I was going to produce a musical that was like the hardest musical I could think of that was in my voice range, which is the last 5 years.
Right.
And so I had never heard him sing, but I had heard that he sang.
That I did, right.
And so just was like asking around, like, hey, I need somebody to do this thing with me. And they're like, Bruce. So I was like, oh, hey, I want to produce this musical. Do you want to do it with me? He's never heard me sing.
Nope.
Well, you did,
but you
didn't realize it at the time. So that's the thing.
I'm like, I want to ask you that.
No, he had seen me in a show years before.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize that later.
And you were still scared of singing, even though you've done it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm still not awesome. So my 40th birthday was approaching. I wanted to get over this thing. So I asked him to do this musical with me, and he's like, okay, sure. So we decided to self-produce a musical, which ironically is about a marriage breaking up, which is kind of funny because I was still legally married at the time, and it was not going great. And so I would be like, hey, can you go talk to him and like talk
so I was basically trying to like add help. Hey, let me help my friend, because at this point in time, this is kind of my best friend. So I'm sort of going, sure, I'll do anything to help. So give advice and whatnot, everything else. But eventually, that they decided that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So the funny part of the phone call. Is that I'm here at work. So I was a grade school teacher at the time. I'm at work and I get a phone call from her ex. Her husband at the time period. It's like, yeah, so Samantha and I have decided we're going to split. I know you're looking for a roommate. Can she come move in with you? And I'm like, it's my best friend. Absolutely.
So he calls me. He's like, he called. Do you want to? I'm like, is that weird? Can we? Okay. Because we had decided, since I actually had a social circle, it made more sense for me to be the one to move out. And I would just like deal with the kids. Like the kids would stay in the house, but then I would come back. And so we decided. With that husband, I have 2. I have 3 from a previous marriage. So this is there's a subsequent marriage. That's okay. I was 17 the first time. It doesn't count. So it doesn't count. So
it doesn't.
There's 3 children who are all adults now. Doesn't count. So they count. That marriage didn't count. So, so I ended up moving with him, and I was there 10 days.
We moved in on the 19th.
Yes.
And on the 29th, I was done. That's it. It was one of those like, this is easy. This is you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because everything just kind of fell in place. Like, this is really simple. And okay.
And we've been together 11 and a half years.
And I feel like now we're sitting on the couch of Blake Crystal and that.
I know. It's just like, and Harry and Miss Sally. Yeah. Anyway. We're those people now. People love
absolutely love your story. I love it.
Really long-winded story, and there's more to it, but we're going to stop at that. So
yeah,
it's all weird.
It's all weird.
Okay, so at what point did you start the store that you currently run? Pip and Lola's.
Pip and Lola's. So I had been making soap for years prior. So Lola is Lorelei, so she's 15 now. So I was making it before she was born. But it was pretty soon after we started dating because I had been working for the census, which, is one of those jobs that ends eventually. And so, I was looking at, doing things after that ended, and I was selling real estate too. I
did everything.
I did everything.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So the thing about the soap though, is like, because I do so much theater, it's a really, really good cast present. And I give closing gifts. Like some people give opening night gifts. I give closing gifts. That's always been my thing. I give closing gifts. And so I would frequently make the soaps as a closing gift. So, like for Nonsense, like we created one that was just for Nonsense. And so eventually people started saying, hey, that one you made for that show, can you make that one again? Can I get those from you? And so I was starting to formulate things for whatever cast I was working with, but also then people would like ask for ones. And then Perrin really started having stupid skin issues. Like he would get this bleeding diaper rash that was just fierce, like he looked like he had a chemical burn. And so because I was already making soap previously, and because I was already starting to tweak recipes and stuff previously, I started trying to figure out how to fix his problems. I kind of got strong-armed into the whole like selling it. I mean, I hadn't intended to, but people kept asking. I was just giving it to them. And so finally, like, I had some friends go, "This is stupid. You need to open a store." And actually, it's so funny because the name of the company actually wasn't ours. A friend of mine, for my birthday, because I also make jam, so she made me this cute little logo. That's our logo. It looks different, so it's our little logo, which I'm like obsessed with.
Super cute.
It's everywhere. I'm obsessed with it. I often joke if I were to ever get a tattoo, it'd be our logo. But she made me a little logo for my jam jars, and so she named it Pip Lola's Everything Homemade. So when we decided
Where does
to
it come?
start,
Where is it from?
Pip and Lola's Everything Homemade. So Pip and Lola are the kids' nicknames.
Okay.
The youngest two.
The youngest, so it's Perrin and Lorelai, but it's Pip and Lola. That's what people call them. And that's what we call them. Although Perrin is more Pip than Lorelai is Lola. Right. Although Lorelai has embraced Lola. Like she tells her friends at school to call her that. So like she's embraced it the whole.
How old is she now?
She's 15.
Yeah.
So when we decided to start a company, I messaged my friend Laura and I was like, "Hey, can I use this for the company? I'll pay you for it. And do you mind tweaking some colors?" Because it was like red and green and yellow. And it kind of looked like a pizza place. It really did. It had like a checkered thing going on. So we ended up adding the bubbles got added. And Lorelai and Perrin each picked one of the colors in the logo. So that's why they're the colors that they are. Is because
Lorelai and Perrin at
2 and 4.
So the color schemes are picked by toddlers. So.
Yeah, whatever. It works. It
I
works.
love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. So because the Everything Homemade confuses people. So we have an LLC that's the Pip and Lola Everything Homemade LLC.
That is so long.
It's so long. And it confuses people because people they'll see vegan and vegetarian and they'll think we have soup. So we just literally just this week, because I didn't realize I had to do that, but we started this year switching over to Pip and Lola's Soap and Sundries, which is explains better what we have. And so I didn't realize we had to do a DBA. So just this week, day before yesterday, I think we finally did our DBA. So our DBA is now Pip and Lola's Soaps and Sundries.
Wow.
So the new store has that, but the logo still has the Everything Homemade on it.
So eventually we'll swap that.
But we
worked
on that.
They
take time.
Yeah.
But the LLC is still Everything Homemade. The parent company.
Yes.
I know. When I set up my LLC, it was like, okay, Life Picks, but I wasn't sure how it was going to be. Like afterwards, it's like, okay, just Life Picks LLC. I'm not adding other words, and then it became university. So
it gets the whole naming is so hard. I mean, we'd always had just Pip and Lola's as a DBA. We'd always had that because it's way easier. But it flows. Yeah. I feel like just Pip and Lola's flows. You know what I mean? It feels like it fits, like Johnson's and Johnson's. Yeah. It just fits. Pip and Lola's fits. And when we named it, 11 years ago, everything on the planet didn't have an ampersand. And now it's become so trendy. It's everywhere I look, there's an ampersand. There's an in the mall.
Is it easier now for you to sell things because it's like people are more aware of these type of things?
You mean the soaps?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, especially in Pittsburgh, because when we first moved here, there wasn't a whole lot here. I mean, Seattle, they're everywhere. Every third person is a crafter.
Yeah,
so
type of city that it is.
They're so hippy dippy. I mean, but it is. It's very much that type of place. And so, we were doing it there, but here we were more of an anomaly. And so it's funny because in the 6.5 years we've been back, now there's kind of soapers everywhere. We kind of have two main competitors here that we're aware of. I mean, there are some that do similar things, but they do one is more of a sort of like a chandler, but also does soaps, or one's does more like the salves and the lotions, but then also does soaps. So we're more of the soaps, but we also do the other things. So in terms of like people who are soap focused, I think we're probably the biggest one in town.
Probably, I think so.
And now you're your third location. Oh,
and we're opening our third location.
All in Pittsburgh.
All of it, yeah, all in Allegheny County. So yeah, which is nuts. And I someone told me that of the hot process soap makers, we're probably one of the bigger ones in the country, which is weird. Just so
you make your soap in your place?
Yep.
And then, yeah, like in our store, like right back there.
And how did you learn how to do this?
So I've done all the things. So I used to be a reporter. So my degree.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the list to grow longer. I thought it was long.
Oh, it
enough.
does.
No, it does. It does. So I used to be a reporter. So I have an English and theater double major. So and a journalism minor. So I was working as a reporter in Texas, and I belonged to one of those online writers forums back when that was kind of a thing, and pre-Facebook groups. And there was a woman in my group that I liked, and we got along really well. And she had written an ebook, sort of at the beginning of the whole ebook thing, about how to make soap in your kitchen. So because I do theater, I was like, oh, that's a good idea for like gifties, and my kids and I have always done handmade holidays. Like that's always been, we've always like made things for each other, like handmade.
Less about the purchase, more about the thought.
Right. Plus we've also been broke as sin. So like, that's always been a thing. Like it's, like if you don't have money, you can like draw me a picture. Like that's fine. So, cause that's, it's just the thing. So we've always done that. So the idea of being able to make something with my hands that I could then use as a gift, that was kind of cool. Although I've always somehow managed to turn hobbies into jobs. Yeah. That always happens.
Well,
because I started painting, I'm like, I'm not turning this into a job. And how many people?
Yeah, you sold it.
I've sold. So. I've probably made more money this last year.
You're a really good businesswoman.
And it's so funny because I hate the word entrepreneur. I hate that word. I hate it.
Today, it's been taken into all sorts of contexts that it's like, yeah.
So I guess I'm being featured as some like women entrepreneurial leader something or I don't know. And I hate it. So they're like, what are some things that you want, other women entrepreneurs to know? I'm like, that you're an entrepreneur, you just happen to be a woman.
Yep. The gender is irrelevant.
Gender's irrelevant. One of the things I like about our company and the stores is like, yes, we're a woman-owned business, and there are certain advantages to that, but also like you can't walk in and know that. Like I feel like most women-owned companies, like you walk in the door and you can practically smell the yoni. Everything's pink, like everything's frou-frou. Right. Everywhere. I mean, we have flowers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, also the type of business that you're in general is going to be
right, and it's like it's very boutiquey, and it feels exclusionary to me. Yeah. It feels like what I don't want is for people who are not feminine, with gender irrelevant, for people who are not feminine. I don't want them to come into my store and feel like this isn't for them.
Yeah.
We do have guys come in all the time going, where's the man soaps? I'm like, well, they all are.
Yeah.
But here's some stuff over there. So,
right.
I've always wanted people who manifested anyway to feel comfortable. And so I like the fact that it's not because men's stores tend to have sort of like a weird sort of sleekness about them. And so we don't have that either. It's kind of kitschy.
We're kitschy and rustic.
And but a lot of that, everyone's like, oh, I love your design. I'm like, that's because why buy new if you don't have to? We buy
your
stuff
business mind.
But I think it comes from having always been broke, right? It's like, oh shit, I need displays. Where am I going to find something?
Plus, we started this company in a way that most people don't, because a lot of people, when they start companies, like, here's my nest egg, here's my chunk of money I'm going to start with, a go. We're like, we got $17.26. What can you do? And we go from there. So we've threadbared the whole thing for so long.
Right. And so we actually just did this huge loan to do location number 3 because their requirements were so much greater. I mean, like my sign is $14,000 for a sign.
It is
That's
ridiculous.
Crazy. And it was a requirement. I had to have it. So I'm like, oh, sure. The sign. Like the big fancy splurge for number 3 is this really neat slat wall that we got. Oh my God. It's $3,000. But it's the nicest slat wall I've ever seen. But it looks like the side of a barn. It's like so it looks like it's like painted blue and the blue paint's all chipped, but it's a slat wall. So it's like designed to look that way. It's gorgeous, but it looks like it fits our shtick. So it's weird to buy new things. Like in this location, I think we have 2 or 3
location
things.
1 or 2.
We're number 1 right now. Number 1's where like the main stuff happens.
The tree new.
The tree was new. The bath bomb stand was new.
That's kind of.
Is there like a way you could turn your camera so we could see, or like really not?
Yeah.
Not then okay.
So I don't know what you can see.
You see the lights.
Yeah. Do you see my lights? It's really pretty. So that I don't know if you can see it. The bath bomb display that we bought new, but you can see like the big sign, the A board for outside.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
Bruce made that out of.
Wood that was here.
It was like in the back room when we rented this space. But these things, one of our employees' friends had it in like her storage unit and had to get rid of it. So like we just got it from her. Let's see over here, those silver displays there.
Somebody was getting rid of.
Someone was just getting rid of. So that's kind of what we do.
You guys, fine. You're resourceful, extremely, extremely resourceful.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you have to be. Got the sample box. I think somebody just found this in the garbage.
It was a box of vodka.
Was that what it was? Was it
I like it so
It was
much.
a box of vodka.
Yeah, we just we piece things together. It's kind of what we do. But like even if you okay, don't judge. So the light, if you look at it, it's a piece of wood that Bruce cut out and it's glued to a paper towel holder.
I see it. It has like see the hot glue here.
Yeah, so you can see.
It's very, very classy.
It's very classy, but it's holding our light, and that's what I use when I'm doing photos of soap. Is I put it in that. Yeah. So yeah, and under the counter. Well, the counter. I don't know if you can see. Oh wait, hold on. You gotta see the counter. The counter's amazing. If you look at it, okay. So if you look at it, that is all receipts from our first location.
So cool. Okay.
Yeah. So the location number 3 is also going to have that. So that's going to have the receipts. This is an old closet door, and it's on top of a bunch of pallet woods and crates made out of scrap wood. And then, but we found another closet. So the second location's closet door is covered with old labels that we stickers that we discontinued, because we improved our packaging over the years. And so, because when we first started that, we were handwriting everything. So it's got some old stickers like that. And then just sort of stickers throughout the years. And then number 3 also has the receipts, but it's on the same kind of closet door. But this closet door and number 2's closet door were actually from our house.
You guys are so awesome. I love it.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, but you just kind of.
You do.
Do what you figure it out and you make do,
But none of it looks junky. It definitely looks purposeful because
you could tell.
It comes as a theme in the store. So there's pieces made out of barnwood, old crate things, of just all sorts of stuff, but it matches as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a theme running through your store. It's not this is
what could we find?
Modern, this is vintage, this is
our theme is everybody's cast off and go.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, a lot of our displays in this location, our main employee used to work for Barnes & Noble, and they just throw their stuff away like you would not believe. And so she'd call me and they have this. Okay, I'll take it. So a lot of our displays in the first 2, and
for the displays,
thousands of dollars for the displays that they were just going to junk. So we just went over and grabbed it.
And you know what? That's why today you're able to open up a 3rd location. So
right, and that's got all. Well, no, because we do have 2 of the Barnes & Noble displays over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the stuff and most of the
no,
stuff.
I'm saying in general, the fact that you have this mindset has allowed you to Like,
Oh,
not
yeah.
just, like, they stole your money on.
Well, because everyone's like, how did you know that, you had the money to do it? I'm like, we didn't. You just decided to do it anyway.
Intuition. Yeah.
I feel like we simultaneously impress and terrify my business mentor, because he's always like,
not just the mentor, but
everybody.
A lot of people just look at us and go,
how?
What are you doing? Yeah. I mean, because they love what we do. The product speaks for itself, which is great. And I love that fact. But it's funny to watch people go, you're doing what? Again? And yeah.
Yeah. Opening 2 locations in 1 year is crazy.
Your second location also was open recently.
Yeah.
In April.
I didn't know that.
So yeah. Oh yeah. Because we're stupid. Well,
are you ever like scared? Like, what happens if in like a year's time this is not going to work out?
We're not going there. We're just going to keep on going forward.
Actually, that's how we ended up here.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
No, seriously. So about a year or so ago, a little over a year ago.
Yeah, about there.
Because we've been doing this for a decade, and we weren't paying ourselves. He's never been paid.
No.
When did you join? At what point? From the beginning?
Oh yeah, we started together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole thing started about a year after we got together.
Yeah. Okay. So, but when he had other jobs for a while, and there was a second where I had another job. We actually opened the store because he had lost his job, and I was doing real estate, and so it was like, well, you go do this, and so eventually I ended up just kind of taking over. I do that. I do.
And the marriage too?
No, I don't think so. Mm-mm.
We each other things.
We very much each other things. I'm more type A than he is. He's very type B.
I'm very much can tell.
Really?
I'm the doer. Like my panic mode, which I think is what happened this year. My panic mode is, oh shit, do the things.
Yeah, that's what I need to hear about your scheduled mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Right. Well, that's very much like my thing is like, oh, okay, nothing's going the way I want it to, do all the things. That's very much the way I am. I'm sure there's trauma attached to that. I was told a lot when I was a kid I was lazy. And so I don't know why. I've always been like this, like my entire life. I get told like I do too many things.
People were just scared of you, even when you were young.
Always. Oh, yeah. So last year we kind of had like a coming to Jesus talk with each other. It's like, we've been doing this for a decade. This is stupid. Like, we're driving ourselves crazy, and for what, to what end? And so we decided we were going to spend a year and throw everything we could into it, mentally, physically, financially, everything we could, and either blow it up or burn it down. And so that's how we've been approaching everything the last year. And it was really interesting because like we had at no point did we think anything about expanding. Like that was never, it was like the idea had always been to like do as many markets as we could, advertise as much as we could. Marketing is the thing I like doing it. I enjoy it very, very much. I feel like it's the thing that I do well. Like our stupid little commercials and stuff. And he is so good at going out and talking to customers and the selling part. Like I'm not a very good salesperson. I'm a good marketer, but I'm not a good salesperson.
She has a hard time selling things that she makes.
I have a really hard time.
Because she has a hard time saying how amazing as she is, so she won't do so. But I have no problem saying that.
That's why Bruce was one that said the soaps were amazing, and not you.
Yeah, no, it's soap. I make them. I make a lot of soap. So we just decided to throw it into the universe. Like this is our build it up or burn it down year. And it was a couple of days later that I got an email from the Strip District Terminal management people who were like, "Hey, we'd like to have you in the Strip." And the Strip District is, I'm trying to think of what would be comparable. Like in Seattle, it's easy because if you've ever heard of Pike Place Market, like. The Strip District is Pittsburgh's version of that. It's very touristy. It's very there's the terminal used to be the produce terminal. Like that's where people would come and get their whole sale, like fruits and vegetables and flour and, things like that. That was that. But that whole neighborhood is that. It's all these really cool, eclectic, weird little businesses that have been there 1,000 years, and it's impossible to get in over there. People have to die for spaces to become available, and because we tried, even though it's so, even like the little tables outside of other people's businesses are like $1,000 a month for a table outside in the elements, and so we couldn't figure out how to make that happen because there was nothing. We didn't want to have an outside space. We have soap and it rains a lot here, so and the humidity is stupid, so we didn't want to be outside. And then the pandemic happened, which for a lot of people was terrible. And for us, it was the best thing that ever happened to us in terms of the business.
Business-wise, yeah.
Not necessarily us. We've had a lot of deaths, and there are deaths around us. But like in terms of the business,
but do you realize that? I mean, I'm sure you realize. I'm just pointing out to the listeners that it was the best thing to happen to you because you made it the best thing. The same exact opportunities, the same exact things could have come up for you, and you would have just not now. I don't have the money for it. I have to save.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were like,
a lot of people weren't. Yeah, a lot of people like during the pandemic were like, we're not doing that, and so we're like, well, this is
what go.
Well, because the thing is like. I wanted to be in the strip district so bad. I felt like if there was any place on the planet that we belonged, it was there, And then again, it was impossible to get in anywhere over there. So they did this produce terminal thing. Somehow we ended up on their radar. They're like, we want you in. I'm like, cool, but I only want 600 square feet. And they're like, well, what about 4,000? I'm like, I want 600 square feet because we don't need a lot of space. We're not making it there. We're making it here. And that square footage is so much more expensive than this is because that space costs twice what this does.
Right.
And that's 550 square feet and this is 2,300.
So the way, even at the size that it is, it costs double.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That space by itself costs more than this and the mall together.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Because that's where people want to be. Right. So, but I'm like, I've never run 2 stores before. This is crazy. I don't know what I'm doing. And we knew that was going to take a minute. Right. So I was trying to figure out like, how do I scale up? Like, what do I do? So I started scaling up recipes because we knew once that happened, it was gonna be stupid. So come Tuesday, my life is about to explode. So we knew that would be stupid, but I didn't know. I'd never done scheduling. Like we had one employee that wasn't related to us. I didn't know. And we had a couple people that would occasionally work like markets for us if we couldn't be somewhere. That was it. That was all we had. And I was like, crap, I don't know how to do all this. And it was like, and it kept getting delayed. It kept getting delayed because pandemic. And so like things kept getting delayed. They didn't have an exact spot for us. Like we had a letter of intent, which then became a letter of agreement, but we still didn't have a lease because we didn't have a space. You can't have a lease without an address. And since it's a building that is 4 blocks long and they're putting in like 40 different things, it's a huge building. We're just taking a teeny little out of it. They had to find somebody willing to build around us.
Oh God.
Right. So we were waiting and waiting and waiting, but we knew it was coming.
But we hadn't heard anything.
In months. And so we got our letter of agreement last October. So a year ago this week, I think. And then end of January, February, I get an email from the mall at Robinson. Hey, we have a space. Do you want it? I was like,
because they've been following
us on social media, and they're like, hey, do you want the space? And we're like, yes, we do, because it's like my dress rehearsal. So we knew this time of year a mall would not be terribly busy, right? So I could have a second location. I could practice scheduling. I could practice trying to figure out inventory, which we still haven't quite managed, but significantly better than it was. We could practice like having employees and what does that do? And so because we had the mall, we figured out some stuff. We figured out, even though we'd never done barcoding in store, we'd always just sort of type things in. Like, oh, we need a barcode.
A real little like.
Right. So like realizing that just because something is simple to us or to Stephanie, who's our main employee, just because it's simple to us doesn't mean it's going to be simple to somebody else. So figuring out, okay, if I have a little, scanner hoozy, that's going to make everyone's life easier. So we did that. Barcoded everything, did that, figured out like inventory systems, got that figured out. Figured out how to do the things on like Google My Business, like how the marketing is different, how the social media stuff's different, like figuring out all of those things. I've been calling it like a dress rehearsal, because it was a way to figure it out during a relatively slow time where the stakes were a little bit lower. So now, like literally the day we got our keys, is that what you were trying to say? The day we got our keys to the mall, the strip was like, hey, we have a space. I was like, you fucker. I was so mad. I was like, what? No, it's fine. It's fine. The day we got our keys. The day we got the keys to the mall.
You guys have something that just like everything folds just so perfectly for you.
Well,
we're trying. I'm not sure perfect, but it's like we joke about it, but it's absolutely our store motto is it'll be fine. We'll make it work.
I love that.
We say it all the time. It's fine. We'll make it work. Like, even if it's not fine, it'll be the worst. Yeah. It'll be fine. Like, right now our employees are a little stressed out because like there's a lot of stuff we don't have because I've been so busy. I do the bulk of the making. So because I've been so busy with this meeting and that meeting and this thing and that thing, I haven't had a whole lot of making time. Now I've been able to scale up. So, what used to be like a 30 bar batch is now like a 400 bar batch, but still, like I still got to make them. So, and we have a huge, so they tell you not to like have a lot of different types. Well, I don't listen very well. So, we have about 250 different types of soap, just the soap.
And every location has all of them, or like some are only
a good chunk of them.
Most of them, yeah.
80 to 90% probably.
Yeah, they don't always go out to all the markets, but yeah, the stores will have them. That's the plan. Is that the stores have them all. But because I've been so busy doing all the other things, I haven't been able to make as often.
And people don't know listening that you're in the middle of you're opening up your location like what in 2 weeks.
We soft open on Tuesday.
Oh, on Sunday you said soft Tuesday, right? And Sundays are celebration. So literally Sunday, right now, been working like
Sundays like a real party.
Are you
people
excited?
Who gave us money?
Okay.
I have a dress.
Excited, terrified, one or the other. Yeah, both.
But we're doing the grand opening of the Strip District on November 1st. So again, it's like we're letting it be a little bit of a dress rehearsal for a couple of weeks of just like it's open when it's open. And we'll see what happens. And but the woman we hired to be our full-time employee there is retiring from her full-time job at the end of this month, and literally the next Tuesday starts working for us. So she's like, "I'm retiring to come to you guys." I'm like, "That's fine." She works for us on Saturdays now. So she's great. She's a stage manager.
Has experience with you guys.
Yeah. Well, what we've been doing is for the training, we've been having everybody come to Homestead and learn how it works. So they've been like coming and boxing up soaps and helping make the product and like labeling things. And so like they're getting a good feel for it. And there is something really interesting, I think, that happens mentally to somebody if they're selling something that they participated in the creation of.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's like this weird little sense of ownership that happens. And I we say it all the time. Like, I really don't feel like we're in sales, even though we're tech. I mean, it's retail, right? So, I feel like
everything is sales.
Everything is sales, but but we don't approach it that way. Like, we very much approach it from like a sort of like a service industry kind of thing. And it's like we're there to problem solve. We're not there to sell them stuff they don't want.
That's actually a huge thing for us because a lot of times when you see retail, people are like, oh, upsell. That's we tell people. Don't upsell.
Don't
just
upsell.
Knock it off. It'll drive us crazy. It also drives customers away too.
We had one employee that didn't last very long, but she came from sales, and so like there was one point it's like, well, I need to teach you how to upsell. I'm like, no, honey, I know how to upsell. We don't do it. It's part of our culture, right? Like if people walk in the door the first time and they don't buy anything, but they leave with a soap sample, I'm good. Because we have soap samples. We give away hundreds.
The rule. Nobody leaves empty.
Nobody leaves empty-handed. That's the rule.
With the sample attached.
The rule.
That way they all get to try it.
Do you
Nobody
like?
leaves
You
empty-handed.
get like the extras from your batches, or
Yeah, they're like end cuts, or sometimes we'll just chop up bars for it, or if it's a bar that wasn't as pretty, we'll just chop it up. But we always have samples, and we get. I mean, like, I'm not even kidding. We give away thousands of these things. And like my son, he's really funny. He's in his 30s, but he's like, "Mom, you got to make these samples smaller because you can get like 4 or 5 uses out of this." I'm like, "Yeah, but it takes 4 or 5 uses for you to realize how good it is."
you're like, sorry, as your brain, but it's on the lower level.
Like, I know. He's like, "Mom,"
it still has to learn.
Well, it's so funny because I belong to a lot of soap making groups, and they're always like, "Don't give away your product." I'm like, "You absolutely give away your product because my product's better than yours, and how are they going to know?"
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a snob, man. I've used other soaps, and I listen to conversations. There's a reason I don't buy people's stuff.
So why don't you sell your stuff like that?
Because I can tell you that.
And all our listeners.
Yeah, but I'm not looking at them. Soap is this weird personal thing, like everyone's skin's different. And I'm sorry, I'm a swearer. I have a mouth.
Go ahead. No.
I'm not going to bullshit you to sell you a bar of soap. I'm not going to do it. So people have different types of skin, and so our big shtick with the soaps is that they're lightly scented. A lot of people have a really, 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 really hard time with scents. And if you go out into the world, you're just bombarded with scents all the time. I can't even walk past certain large, retailers that sell that kind of stuff. I can't go past. I get instant migraine. So, and I'm in this all day. I mean, I'm over it. I'm in it all day, and we do hot presses, so we cook it. So
the scent is
way heftier. As I'm making, especially the mints, peppermint will knock you over when it's warm. So I'm in it, and I still get overwhelmed walking past certain places in the mall. So we're very cognizant of keeping the scent levels down so that those people who can't hang have an option, because there's a lot of heavy scenters out there. There's a lot.
And we have a number of unscented as well.
And we do have a lot of unscented because some people can't handle anything. But we want them to have, they deserve to have options. And when we started, we couldn't find anybody who did lightly scented. We researched that. We couldn't find anybody who did lightly scented. There's a couple companies now that have a lightly scented line, but nobody that I know of that's dedicated to lightly scented. So, yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons we have so many, because it's hard to find. And if you're somebody who can't do heavy scents, you deserve to have more than 2 choices.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mind providing those choices. That means my to make list is stupidly long, and it's stupid.
How do you decide? First of all, how do you come up with ideas? And then second of all, how do you decide what's more important to try out first?
Oh, is for the customers to try?
Yeah.
We have a starter kit.
Not for the customer, for you to make, if you're making new soaps.
Oh, when I'm adding things, people ask for stuff. Because when we first started, we had 11 different types. And so, but people would ask for things. And so I would just some things I'd be like,
Yeah.
Eventually we will have a patchouli only. Eventually.
I know people love patchouli.
We are about to add a patchouli lime.
Right.
That is happening.
Yeah. It was easier to add new ones at the beginning because people would suggest, "Hey, what about this? What about this?"
Yeah.
But nowadays
we have everything.
We have a number of them.
And still people will come in and they'll ask for a thing. And I'm like, somebody came in today, asked for a clean laundry smell. I'm like, what does clean laundry smell like?
Tide or something.
I do have a fresh linen fragrance oil.
See, I have seen fresh linen, but I've seen it in candles. I don't recall ever having seen it in a soap, but maybe.
Yeah, the problem is to get a fresh laundry scent,
you have to do fake.
It's
like to get strawberry scent, you have to go fake. Yeah. Although we have a really good fake one.
We do.
It actually really does. It really does smell like it.
Super cool.
It does. No, so if you look at our product line, we have a lot that are named after people because they suggested it. Mm-hmm. So Kia's favorite old hippie was actually one of our customers in Tacoma at the farmer's market. So we named it after her. Lady Z's was named after the daughter of somebody who suggested. Becca was named after the person that the friend suggested for his daughter.
Right.
So her name is Becca. So
You're
it's hers.
good. You
I actually
guys
don't
are
even know
good.
if she ever got any, but it's hers. I actually don't know. You know,
It's just not.
yeah, it's just right. But we've named a lot of them after people because they suggested that.
At least of the essential oil line.
Of the essential oil
The
line.
primary line is only
They're all
essential
named
oils,
after-
food products, botanicals. So that's where we name those.
Yeah, the other line's all Shakespeare characters.
Yeah, I don't think we know anybody named Petruchio.
No,
No.
but because I was a snob about it, I refused to use fragrance oils for years. One of the things that we did when we moved into this location, because we scaled up and moved into this one 3 years ago, was we added the Shakespeare line as like a permanent addition. But I was like, if I'm going to do fragrance oil ones, we're doing it my way, and they're all named after Shakespeare characters. So suck it up. So, which is why we have a Macbeth soap. I know, but there's like 70 something in the Shakespeare line. Is it more than that? I don't know.
Of course, big and bold, each one of them.
There's hundreds. Like the cool thing about Shakespeare is like you don't run out of names. Like there's so many. And what's funny is like because we tried with those, we tried really hard to make the name sort of match the scent. Like Iago as the character. So like Iago specifically, the name of the fragrance oil is called hedonic tonic, like hedonistic. But it smells like chaos. Like there's something about that smell. It smells very chaotic. And I was like, Iago, duh. So like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are the exact same soap with different labels because most people can't tell those two characters apart. So it's like an in-joke. What's another
sometimes
one?
like people will buy one of the, they think they're buying two separate things and they're really buying this.
It's the exact same thing. It's like a joke. We did have one called Exeunt Pursued by a Bear because that's a stage direction from Winter's Tale. It's just
Weird.
it's like he leaves and a bear is chasing him. And there's like no reference to the bear whatsoever anywhere else. It's just there. And there's a bear. Juliet is Rose.
Obviously.
Rosalind is cucumber melon. So if you know anything about As You Like It, like she's about 16 in the play, she gets sent off into the forest because she's been like basically banished from the kingdom. But we always joke that cucumber melon smells like 16-year-old girl.
Okay.
Well, because
When a
for
16-year-old
decades.
girl picks it up, you're like, I did a good job.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, for decades, yeah, that was the thing. Like the teenagers.
They go
Kids
in
people
the
my age.
mass chain. They pick up their bottle of liquid soap.
Yeah.
Cucumber melon. Okay. Yeah.
Shylock is frankincense and myrrh, which is those were monetary units, and frankincense had a whole it's like because of money changing hands and loans not being repaid in the script. Trying to think of what other ones are really funny.
I mean, the Titus ones. If you know anything about Titus, Andronicus, we probably should get too into the story of it. But
okay, so in Titus, Tamora, who's the main female, gets fed her children's heads in a pie. That's it's a big revenge play, and so all of the Titus ones are baked goods. Just because I'm a dork.
I love that. I just do it. That's spirit, that evilness.
Regan from King Lear, because she gets poisoned, is almond and cyanide.
Yep.
Smells like almond. So we just we have way too much fun with it. And every once in a while, someone will get the joke and just like bust a gut and it's my joke.
Without us having to explain. That's the best part.
That's when they're like, I get it. Thank you.
That
The King Lear being patchouli. It's like a hippie thing. So
I'm curious, how has your relationship, your marriage, been affected by the fact that you're working so close together the whole time?
So
we try really hard.
Yeah, we try really hard to keep work and home separate, obviously, as much as we can. But the nice thing is, I think we have an advantage in some ways that I like her. Which, I mean, if that makes sense, I can handle being around Samantha 24/7.
Right.
We know a lot of couples that can't. They look forward to that time away. It's like, oh my God, please get me away from my spouse. I need to go.
We can spend 3 days in a car on a road trip, which we've done, and not bicker ever.
Yeah.
Not that we've never been.
No, but
if we do, it's usually about this place.
Yeah.
Because I'm type A and he is not.
I'm not at all. I'm so
Bruce is from the East Coast. Like whenever people are like, "How's that going?" I'm like, all right. I'm sorry. He's from Oregon.
As if that's an excuse.
That's yes. So he's from the Pacific Northwest. He will get it done.
We're a little more laid back in our time.
Eventually, it gets done.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you asked me 76 times doesn't mean I'm not going to get it done.
You'll get it done.
Eventually.
I'm trying to figure out what the magic formula is to get him to do the thing because I joke about this all the time, that he'll do anything on the planet for me except for that one thing I really needed him to do today. But anything else is taken care of. He's like, oh yeah, but did you make that one call? I just thank you for building me a house, but did you make the call? It's like a thing. And we do joke that like my life's goal is to be able to fire him.
Yep.
So I tell him all the time.
Oh, do you hear what you're saying about him and what you're saying about her?
Well, no, but so like in a perfect world, in a perfect world, he would get to do sales only.
Yep. I like doing marketing.
So one day, I don't know if you
love.
want to, but if you want to grow bigger, then one day that's what we'll do.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the goal is actually if the store is to send self-sustain.
Yeah.
So if they're paying themselves, pay Samantha a salary, do all these things, and then I'm not needed to, like when it comes for sales, I want to be at every new location because that's what I do. That's really
He's
very much
so good at it.
And then if I can work with people, teach them how to do it, that's important. But then once it's self-sustaining, it'd be nice then I can go out and do the larger scale markets because there are markets out there that are not for tiny little crafters, but definitely have a much larger scale. And that's where I'd be best served at because I'd be out.
He's so good at it's like there are things in the world that I'm good at, but I can't think of anybody on the planet who is as good as he is at that. Like,
so you guys work.
Bruce in a booth is like, forget it. Like it is a thing of magic. Bruce with a timetable.
I'm great with timetables. You take them, you fold them up, forget about them, and you just keep going.
Bruce and to-do lists? No. But I can't do markets. Forget that. Like, no thanks.
So you're using your strengths and his strengths together.
Right. That's why I joke. I'm like, I want to fire you. I want to kick you the hell out of my store and stay out of my office and go do those things. Because you're so over there. But like he's brilliant at those, like, and we try really hard, like both within the relationship, but also like with our employees. It's like, what are you good at? Like, let's find those things that you're good at and that you love and do those. Like we try to do that with, like, we have one new employee who actually has her own business that's like slowly killing her. But God bless, she loves making gift baskets. I'm like, cool, make gift baskets. I need those. I hate doing that.
Yeah.
Do you do that? I hate doing that. One of our employees recently rediscovered how much she loves decorating windows. I'm like, cool, that's your job.
So now I'm forgetting about it.
I don't have to do any of that crap. I hate that crap. You do that. So, but she loves doing it. Susan, who's about to take over the strip district store, my God, does she love cutting soap. So like when she's over here, she's like, is there any? Off she goes. So finding those things that people are good at. Because that's the problem is if we're in a situation where he has to do administrative stuff, it's going to fail because that's not, like when you are in a position where you're having to do things that aren't your strong suit, it's bound to cause stress and failure. If I have to do financials, it's not pleasant for anybody. So, I'm good at math. You want to throw some calculus at me? I will tear it up. Business math ain't math. It's not the same thing.
No,
so
I teach just business math in school, not the math that they do, but it's conversation for a different time.
When am I going to use sine and cosine? I'm not. Algebra I use that all the time. But tangents, I don't use that shit.
No.
To teach me how compounding interest is. Like that's the kind of thing that they need to learn. Amortization, although I think I finally figured that out. I think I did. I think I finally figured that out. So, but like it's a different animal and it stresses me out. And, having grown up poor and having a theater and English degree, like I don't, but a lot of business owners I know freak out about marketing, like stress hives about marketing, whereas I'm like, oh, so you find people that are good at things that you suck at, and vice versa, and you just figure out like each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like we came into this, I had never done retail. He had done retail, so he had experience with that. I waited tables and I sold houses. Like I didn't, and I wrote things. So like I didn't really understand a lot of the retail. I never had that job at Target. I never bagged groceries. I never did that. I waited tables when I was younger. Which I think also is one of the reasons that I very much approach this as a service industry as opposed to sales, because that is comfortable for me and it makes sense. So yeah, like if I could fire him and kick him out of my store and let him go do his magic, heck yeah. I would miss the hell out of him because I love getting to be in the same space with him all the time. And when we're making, it's really cool. Like it's really cool. Like because he does the candles, so he'll be like on his little station. He'll be making candles, and I've got some like 5 or 6 things of soap going, and we're just
romantic.
It's really cool. Like we it's like it's interesting. Like it's fun. I imagine it's fun to watch this in space because it's fun to be in space with us because like I'm sprawled. Like I've got like 7 cookers going and I'm doing all the things and we just sort of like do this weird like dance around each other where we never even like slam into each other. We just sort of like know the other person is in space.
You can imagine the making space kind of like a galley kitchen. I'm talking about the really long. So we frequently refer to it like as a 2-buck kitchen.
It's a 2-buck kitchen.
That's about it.
Yeah.
So we at least are very comfortable with each other, so we know where each other is pretty much at all times. So that's where very rather, especially because you're carrying lye or oil or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's important to be able to know where everything is at. And so it is amazing that we don't actually slam into each other or anything else.
Ever.
We just know how we're working.
Yeah, we sort of like have a good groove going when we're back there. So that's fun. I do like that. Yeah. I would miss that.
Even if you kick him out, he's still staying.
Yeah. I'm keeping him.
Well, plus I have to be there because otherwise she doesn't eat.
I
take care of you.
I get busy.
Someone forgets. And
okay, so if someone wants to buy these soaps, where are they going to?
So if you're in the Pittsburgh area, our main store is in Homestead on 8th Avenue. Location number 2 is in the mall at Robinson behind the Starbucks because that's where everybody knows. Everybody knows the Starbucks. And starting Tuesday, we will be at the Strip District Terminal at 1921 Smallman Street. If you are not in Pittsburgh, we are at www.pipandlola.com, spelled out.
Awesome.
Most of the things are there.
Yep.
I'm going to remember to update the inventory when I have a minute. Things get goofy. Well, and like because of all the prices, everything's gotten like stupid expensive.
Supply lines.
Yeah. Supply chains. Oh my God. So we actually just had to do a change. We used to be just free shipping across the board, but now you have to spend $15 to get free shipping. But that basically just means you have to buy 2 bars. Basically.
So you should be buying more than 2 bars. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we do 25% off if you do $75 or more. And that gets to be a really good deal really quick.
Which is great for holiday shopping.
It's great for holiday shopping.
Exactly.
And if you've never been there before, like if you're brand spanking new, we have like a series of things that you can do to get 35% off first time.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
Somebody used that to great effect this week.
They did.
We have a custom that you can purchase, which is a 2.5 pound soap penis that you can choose your colors and your scent. It's a $75 2.5 pound soap penis, but you can buy it and it's awesome. So somebody used the coupon code for that, so that was a really good use for that because they got a good deal on that giant thing. It's so ridiculous.
You guys, let me give over.
We're very serious. We're very serious soap makers.
I noticed good and well. And a whole lot of fun. Okay, so for our final question,
yes,
one that I ask everyone,
okay,
is how would you describe an extraordinary relationship without using love, intimacy, or connection?
How do you describe an extraordinary relationship without love, intimacy, or connection?
Awareness.
Awareness is
Very
huge.
much.
You said my favorite word. I always think that everything starts with awareness, because like people say like communication is the biggest thing in marriage, and they go on all these different things. And I'm like, if you don't have the awareness, you're not self-aware of what's happening. How are you communicating? How are you doing all the
Right.
that people said? So woohoo for that one.
Awareness is huge. I also think just acknowledging that you are not the same person and meeting them where they are. I'm a huge fan of the love languages. Oh man, am I a fan of the love languages? It's so true. It is so true. It is so true. I'm a touch person. I'm very, very much a touch person. He is very, very much an acts of service person.
That's why he makes lunch every day.
Which is what this man, listen to me. We have been married 11 and a half years. If in that 11 and a half years, I've cooked 5 times for anyone other than just myself, I would be stunned. He makes me, if I have to be on set at 5 o'clock in the morning, he gets his ass up at 4 and makes me breakfast.
Are you serious?
Every day. He lets me sleep in if I need to. As far like, this is the best. Our relationship is the best relationship I've ever seen anyone have ever. And I actually kind of feel a little bit guilty about it when I watch other people.
What do you say is like your number one? I know I told you it was the last question, but apparently it's not. What do you say is like the one thing that really makes it that?
There's a very distinct lack of taking each other for granted. Do you know what I mean? Couples take each other for granted all the time. I don't have to check in with him if I'm not going to come straight home from work, but I do. He doesn't have to check in with me and let me know he's going to go to the grocery store before he comes back from the market, but he does. You know, I don't have to say, hey, love, I'm just going to run to the grocery store, but I do. You know, like just keeping each other attuned to what the other person is doing. It's not because like we have to check, you know, it's like, it's not that. It's just like,
no, like controlling your life.
Right. It's not a matter of that. It's like, if he wants to go out, you know, but the fact that he'll be like, hey, I'm going to go do this thing. I'm like, cool. I'll see when you get home. So there's never this concern of like, I know when to worry. You know what I mean? And it's actually a pet peeve of mine. It's like, I don't expect you to check in on me, but like, let me know when I'm supposed to worry, you know? I think that's, but just sort of like an acknowledgement of we are separate people with our own things, and that's fine. And at the same time, like making a point of finding those things where there's commonality. Like, we joke about it all the time. Like I'm the type A, he's not. But then finding those things that are good about each other and making a point of saying that, you know, because especially when I'm hard on him, because sometimes I'm hard on him when things are rough, you know, and he knows that time frames and to-do lists it's a problem. He knows that. Like, it's just, you know, this is not information that he didn't come into this with, you know, but at the same time, it's like, you know, it's one of those things like for every complaint, you should do at least 2 compliments kind of thing. Right. It's like, okay, this thing isn't working. However, these other things are amazing. So, and not lying about it, like being very, oh goodness, I'm so sorry. Being very like authentic about it. I don't know. Authenticity is huge. That's probably my big one.
Yeah.
And he's really cute calves.
Very long.
You're in agreement, Bruce?
Absolutely.
Awesome. He's allowed to disagree with me. Like, it's totally fine. Oh, no, he's petting me. Oh, no, I'm in trouble. No, I mean, like, please?
No, it's.
So during our wedding, we had to write our own vows. Bruce is not a complainer. He's not. He just is not a complainer. And so, like, I'm like, I know there has to be something about me that makes him crazy. Like, I know there has to be. Like, because I'm kind of an asshole. Like, there has to be something that makes him nuts. And so, but he won't tell me, which is like a thing. And so, we had to write our own vows. And so I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, this is what I'm going to get him, right? So, because what our officiant said is, you know, we're doing these vows, and one thing that you want the other person to do, right? Okay, cool. So mine was, you know, I promise not to start something I won't finish. or to finish everything I start. Is that what it was?
Something like that.
Right. So I'm like, cool. What's he going to tell me to do? What does this guy do? He says, you promise to keep looking at me the way you did this morning or something along those lines. So he totally went cute. And I'm like, well, now I'm an asshole. So I will never find out the thing I do that makes him nuts. He won't tell me. I'm sure it exists. I don't know. I get on my nerves. I have to get on yours.
Do you?
Get on my nerves?
Yeah.
Yes. I do.
I love the way you took that.
I get on my nerves.
You guys are so awesome. Oh.
I love that people think we're relationship goals. I think that's cool.
It's very strange.
Well, I mean, we were mine.
True.
I mean, that's true. Because this is what I wanted.
Yeah, well, imagine if every single couple in the world would be like you. What this world would
but that wouldn't work for everybody.
There'd be way too many soap stores.
Soap stores.
Wouldn't make any money.
Nobody would make any money.
Okay,
really make any money. No, but like, I think too often people go through life assuming everyone thinks like them. So like for some people, this wouldn't work.
No.
Right.
We have some friends that are very,
100%.
they love bickering.
They love
That's
bickering.
How it goes. It drives me crazy.
I was like, why you guys fight all the time? Oh, I guess it's foreplay. Okay, I'm just gonna go over here now. It's like, I don't need any part of that, but thanks for playing. But I wouldn't like that. I mean, like a good fight now and then, I guess it's fun, but like not a real one.
Well, thank you so much, Samantha and Bruce. This was so much fun. I really appreciate you guys coming on here.
I'm glad we made it work. We had a couple of false starts.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
That's all for this episode of the Life Picks University podcast, but I have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support the show, but will also help the people you love most. We are striving for 1 million downloads by the end of 2025, and we can't do this without your help. If you love this episode, please share it with 2 of your family and friends so they too can rewire their brains to have an extraordinary marriage. It was awesome spending time with you, and I'll see you on the next episode.